With the Earth's rotation, we see the celestial vault turning with its stars and the Milky Way. Here you look south under a dome of stars. During the night, you see the Milky Way passing over your head and changing its tilt. Lie on the ground and watch the sky spinning the whole night. You will think the Milky Way is closing like a loop, despite a small section hidden below the horizon. 4,000 years ago, our ancestors could even see the Milky Way as a full ring just above the horizon. Such a phenomenon has disappeared due to the precession of the equinoxes. So, the ancients knew that the Milky Way was a loop. The Greeks called it the Milky Circle, Kyklos Galaktikos, or the Milk Circle, Galaktos Kyklos, or, in the short form, Galaxias. Our word galaxy comes from Galaxias, because modern astronomers have realized that we are in the middle of a galaxy. The Milky Way is our galaxy, seen edge-on. Here are the constellations. With all these images of heroes and animals, our ancestors memorized a plan of the sky. This fresco divides the cosmos into two worlds, whose border is the Milky Way. Here in green is a terrestrial world. In blue is an oceanic world. By deploying the sky map with a cylindrical projection, we can see each constellation that takes its place in one of these two worlds. There are also the constellations located on the Milky Way. Studying this fresco shows a link between myths and this celestial division. Surprisingly, nothing is random. For example, the constellations in the ocean are all related to water. And oddly enough, the warrior constellations are all on the Milky Way. To better understand the thinking of our ancestors, let's use the stereographic projection of the Stellarium program. Let's slide the sky to close the Milky Way in a loop. We see the terrestrial part surrounded by water. The Milky Way is like the shoreline of this ocean. In myths, this border can be seen in several ways. A river separating two worlds, a mountain range obstructing the hero, a fortress around a city, the shell of an egg. And there's more. In the widest part of the Milky Way, we see black holes, a slightly reddish appearance, and a hair-like filament texture. Here too, the ancients incorporated these textures into their stories. Although these symbols are many, we will see how myths always reveal the same principles. Let us observe the nature of the constellations that are found in the oceanic domain. They are indeed marine. Capricorn is marine, just like fish. Aquarius pours water on the southern fish. And the sea monster Cetus attacks Andromeda, who is tied to a rock in the sea. Pegasus, the winged horse, can cross seas and rivers. Even the great Orion can walk on water like Thor, the Viking god. Notice the dolphin in this oceanic sky. To continue our exploration of the sky, let's now observe the terrestrial constellations. And finally, curiously, the warrior constellations are all, without exception, on the edge of the Milky Way: Perseus, Orion, Hercules. and the Ophiuchus, who's fighting a serpent from entering the earthly world. The scorpion wounds his heel. The Sagittarius sends him an arrow. The centaur is on the opposite side. There are other equally intriguing details. The big dog chases the rabbit out of the garden. The hull of the famous ship Argo fights the waves of the sea, and curiously, its sail is well above the marine world. We clearly see a struggle, but why? There's a battle between these two worlds. To better understand the thinking of our ancestors, let us distort the sky to make the Milky Way loop back on itself, like the Ouroboros, the famous serpent that bites its tail and encircles the entire terrestrial world. In this battle, the Milky Way is seen as a celestial bulwark that protects the Earth against marine constellations. In fact, it is the forces of order and those of chaos that are confronting each other. It's the famous Chaoskampf, this myth so universal among all the peoples of the Earth. Notice the opening in the rampart. At this point, the Milky Way is so thin that there appears to be a gap. For invaders like the Titans, this vulnerable location is ideal for attacking, and that is their intention. But they're terrified by the horrible head of the Medusa, held at arm's length by the hero Perseus. This is called an apotropaic or protective head. The big battle will therefore take place opposite the citadel, where the scorpion is, where the Milky Way is at its widest, but with large black holes. Among the Vikings, the head of the great sage Mimir can prophesize about what will happen in battles, and thus allows Odin's troops to achieve victory. In India, the famous god Indra uses trickery to cut off the head of the Asura demon, Namuchi, who will pursue him, furious after his death. Indra will have to purify himself from this act, but where? In the sacred pond Tirtha of Varuna, which is the constellation of the charioteer, which is not far from the severed head. The Hindu goddess of war, Kali, is often depicted with a demon, Raktabija, dead at her feet. By brandishing a severed head with a threatening face, she is said to put an end to the attacks of this demon and its bloodshed. The myth of the severed head is also found in other cultures, such as the Turks and the Celts. In Mesopotamia, among the Sumerians, Gilgamesh cuts off Humbaba's head. Is it therefore a coincidence that a protective severed head is raised towards the sea, as if to repel an invisible invader? It will be noted that Kali is a word which means black or dark night, in the same way that among the Greeks, Hecate also represents a dark night, a moonless night on which we see the Milky Way.